is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Weapon Collective. My name's Jeff and we are back down in the GAC Cave one more time. This is a couple videos from the GAC Cave in as many weeks. So get a lot more than usual because I haven't been down here that much. I've been out on the range, but it's good to be back down here and I'm very excited about this video because what are we doing? Well, this is part one of a series that's going to be running through December. And that series is trying to get to the number one 2011 of 2025. So today I am introducing the 5 candidates, top 5 2011s of 2025. And then the subsequent videos are going to be these guns out on the range, really competing against each other. I'm trying to take the subjectivity out of this as much as possible. There will be some subjective stuff like styling cues and design language that I'm gonna make that call. But other than that, I'm gonna try to just put these guns up against each other on the clock, get metrics, and see which one performs the best. And at the end of all that, maybe it's gonna be a point system. I'm not even 100% sure yet, but we are gonna arrive at the number one 2011 of 2025. So before I show you the guns, I did want to make a couple little points of distinction. So firstly, there are some guns like the Jacob Gray Nox 9 that I haven't got yet. Technically, they would have qualified for this and look like potential candidates, possibly. I don't know. I haven't got it in hand, but they're having some delays. So I think that one's just going to be kicked into 2026 and we'll see what happens with that. But there's also another caveat to this, which is the elephant in the room, Infinity. So I didn't include Infinity in the top 5 guns of 2025. Why is that? Because I don't want to have an Infinity in here that perhaps wins, and then, or even just being in the top 5, I wanted to keep it to guns that are potentially available. And most of these are guns that you could actually go get. Some require a little wait, some longer than others, but they're available guns. I'm not gonna say they're production guns, but they are available. Now, an Infinity is just such unobtainium, even if they are the uppermost echelon of the 2011 world. It's just so hard to get one that I decided to not include them in this because a lot of the reason for doing this is to give my opinion on what I think are the top 5 best guns of 2025, ultimately arriving at the gun of 2025. And then hopefully that gets people interested in that gun or these guns and they go out and maybe acquire one. With Infinity, it's just not that way. You just can't go out and get an Infinity when you want to. It's much more difficult. And as hard as it was not to include those in here, I figured best just to have those as a separate thing because that's how I look at Infinity. They are just something different anyway. They're Infinities. And so that's my little spiel on this. We're keeping this to production guns. And without further ado, let's get into it. So starting out, this one came out of nowhere and just kind of blew up. This was the gun that made the most noise, I'm gonna say, of all of the year. And you probably know what it is already. This is the Dark Forge X Covert Reaper. This one specifically, because the Dark Forge Reaper is a 5-inch compensated pistol. So if you get it anywhere other than Covert, that's what you're getting. But this is a very special model because if you get this one from Covert, as Covert does, you're getting the extra bells and whistles, you're getting the comp, and then these 6 ports as well. So you have the 2 inline ports on the top and then the V ports on each side of the nose. And it has been, like I said, I think the gun that made the most noise. It was very popular and I had so many people commenting, hit me up on Instagram, asking me about how does the Reaper stack up to this gun, what's your opinion? And this is what I got contacted the most about, hands down. More people ask me about the Reaper than any other gun. This obviously is going to be in the lineup. So starting with number 1, and this, let me emphasize this. This is in no specific order. The order that we go through these guns has absolutely zero significance. This is just how I took them out of the gun cabinet. So starting with the Dark Forge Reaper, and as I mentioned, it is a hybrid, so comped and ported. Very just buttery smooth and just a hell of a gun. I mean, this thing, and I said it came out of nowhere, like no one had heard of Dark Forge. And then similar to Cardinal Arms, coming from Optimum Manufacturing, is a very similar situation to this. So what you got is the first release from Dark Forge was the Wraith. And that is a 4.6 inch little brother of the Reaper, and that one isn't comped, it is only ported. Very first version of that came out with a polymer grip, albeit a good polymer grip from MJD, and I have that version. And then they came out about the same time. The Reaper came out, the Wraith came out with the aluminum grip. So this one has the aluminum grip, and they did a fantastic job on the texture and design language of this pistol. The only difference with this one is I mentioned I have the Wraith, and that came with this bronze hardware. So I stole this one came with black hardware, the Reaper. I stole the hardware out of the Wraith and put it in this. And then I think I found out that if you were to buy just a normal Reaper, not from Covert, this is the hardware it comes with. So I have this weird hybrid amalgamation gun. But anyhow, I bring that up just because the Covert version of this originally came with black hardware. And then it does have a steel magwell, aluminum grip, phenomenal trigger. And then I will bring this up on this gun and not have to bring it up again because they are all set up identically to this. If you watch the channel, you know this is how I set up my guns. So they're all gonna have the Trijicon SRO and the Surefire X300. That's what I like. That's how I set them all up. Trigger's phenomenal. Nice little bit of take up, super clean, light break, and very audible, tactile, strong reset. But all of these guns do. Some are shorter than others, the reset. But they're all great triggers. Most of them are all Atlas triggers for the most part. And then that is really the Dark Forge X Covert Reaper. We knew this one would be in the running, or I would assume so anyway. And I'm also going to give you weights. So the Dark Forge Reaper, this weighs 42.1 ounces. And I weighed all these guns with, I weighed them with the optic, but that's it. I took the light and the mag out. They've all been weighed, all have the SRO, so it's negligible, even if it is that extra, whatever the SRO weighs. That is the Dark Forge Reaper. Next up, this one is amazing. The Hayes Custom Cobra. This is the gun that I'm talking about. This is the hardest gun to get out of all 5 of these. This one requires the longest wait, and right now it's not even possible. But they will open back up, but it still is going to have like a year to 2 year wait to get one of these. So I was hesitant about including this, but it's just such a good gun that I had to, and it just made sense to put this in. But I ordered this thing back in 2024, and then a year later I got it. So it was like September of 24, and I got it about that of 25. And so I had a year wait, but over that time, orders had skyrocketed. And by the time I got this, they were up to a 24-month wait. And then shortly after, they closed their books. So they're going to catch up, whittled out those guns down, get them shipped out, and then they're going to open up again. So I figured, let's put the Hayes in the top 5 because it truly is going to be available. It's just going to have a long wait to it, and it is a phenomenal gun. And oddly, this thing weighed exactly the same as the Reaper, 42.1 ounces. And this one, This is the only one that doesn't have a steel magwell. So it is a steel frame, aluminum grip, aluminum magwell, and then Atlas trigger, just, I mean, this dead sexiness to it, of course. This one is a little more tame, I would say, on the aesthetics line. You know, it's not super flashy, but there's something about just these little rose gold accents with this all black that absolutely does it. And Ben Hayes is a phenomenal builder, and just this gun has been a just absolute beast. Oh, one thing I really dig about this gun is it runs the iOS optic system from Nighthawk, which is my favorite optic system. I think it's the simple, most robust optic system out there, and that is a huge bonus. And then the Atlas trigger is money. This one just right there, light brake. These all have like a 2-pound brake. Reset, short, strong, audible, tactile. I mean, they're all good. These, like, getting to the top 5 guns of 2025, these things are all phenomenal. But this is ported to, and when I say this thing, what I like about it is the size of these ports. These things are significant in comparison to some other ports. So it's very effective, and just love this thing. Magwell is awesome. It's not steel like I mentioned, but it is just a huge magwell, which I really like. Feels fantastic in hand. The only thing I had to do with this gun is it came with the Hayes extended mag release, which I think is such a good mag release. It makes it super ergonomic, very easy to reach that mag release. But with me, with my grip, the way I ride this so high up here, it interferes with the mag release, and I start dropping mags, and I hate it that I have to take it off. But it's either changed my grip, which is gonna be just a pain in the butt, and maybe I should, but I'm not there yet. We'll put it that way. So I had to take the extended mag release off, and that's a bummer because I think Hayes has one of the best extended mag releases in the business. So, second gun, the Hayes Custom Cobra. Going from there, we are jumping in to a littler guy, a 4.6. This is the only 4.6 in the lineup. The Covert X Race Seated Defense Mod 2. This thing rips. And the 4.6 inch guns are faster than the 5 inch. This gun is badass. This thing is super fast, and it is ported, has these nested ports in the serrations, these inline ports on top, and these V ports on the nose. And it is just such a fantastic shooting gun. I love this thing. It really does shred. And then you factor in the price. For the price of this gun, which is, don't quote me, but it's like around $4,500, something like that. This thing absolutely shreds, and that is one thing I've loved about Race Seated Defense, is they're building to the quality of the $7,000 guns that are out there, and they're that $4,000 to $5,000 area. I think they are doing some very cool stuff. All that stuff aside, price aside, that I didn't factor that into this. I'm just mentioning it because I think it's worthwhile. But really how I pick these guns is, part of it is aesthetics, but a small part. The large part is how these guns shoot. And if you watch the channel, you know I went out to California. I met up with 2A in LA, Tactical Bearded Dad and Team Blacksmith, down at Covert, and they had a release of all these previously unreleased guns, and we got to go to the range and shoot them. And this was one of them this is the one that surprised me the most. We knew we were going to shoot the Reaper. Everybody agreed the Reaper was like the best shooting gun there. But this one was the one that really surprised me. I thought this thing was a phenomenal shooter. So 4.6-inch ported pistol, those rose gold accents, just, it does it for me. Love rose gold and black. And then it has these high polished flats on there that just looks so nice against the satin, and love the aesthetic. But the Race City Defense grip has just a perfect amount of grip. It is an aluminum grip with a steel magwell, and I just think this thing not only looks great, but it freaking shreds. So this is number 3, the Covert X RCD Mod 2 4.6-inch ported beast. Oh, and the weight on that is 39.8 ounces. We didn't look at the trigger either. Atlas trigger, so you have the nice Atlas trigger in there. Similar amount of take up, almost none, right on the wall. And then just very light break. And similar audible, tactile, powerful reset. Just awesome. So that is the Mod 2. Okay, and then you're probably thinking, you know this next one, and you probably do, because that is the Cardinal Arms G2P. The first gun that came out from these guys was just the G2, the non-ported version of this, which looks almost identical to this. And I got that gun. I've told this story many times, but got it. I saw it basically. I didn't know anything about Cardinal Arms, never heard of the G2, but I saw it and said, I need that gun. And it was a roll of the dice, and I always say I rolled those dice and I won the jackpot, because the original G2 was such a fantastic shooting gun. One of the only non-ported, non-comped guns that I shoot regularly. And I love that thing, so I was very anxious to see the G2P, and just, I mean, the attention to detail, the machining on this thing, they absolutely nailed it. And then this porting, there's a video, this came out not that long ago. So I have a fairly recent video, and I will link to all the videos that go with each of these guns down in the description. So you can get a little more information about them if you're interested, or you just want to see them run. So this one is fairly recent, and aluminum grip, steel magwell, 5-inch ported pistol has these 4 ports. So 2 oblong kind of V ports on each side, and just a super well built, very well machined, gorgeous, dead sexy gun. This thing absolutely smokes. Just badass gun. Love Cardinal Arms. Everything about what they've been doing, I'm on board with. And just, I feel a connection to Cardinal Arms. I'm gonna just say it, put my bias out there. I feel a connection because I was one of the first channels to really highlight the G2, and just feel like a kinship with this gun. Not only because I was like one of the first guys to get this out on their channel, the G2, but also just how well it shoots. I fell in love with the gun immediately. Love this thing. And that is really what I'm trying to do on the range with these guns is, like I said, take the subjectivity out of it, but take my bias out of it too. And just let the metrics speak for themselves. We'll see how these guys all stack up against each other, but this is the Cardinal Arms G2P. The weight of it is 41.4 ounces. And this is one that doesn't have an Atlas trigger. This trigger is from Cardinal, or at least their trigger shoe, and a little bit of take up, beautiful break. That might be even lighter than the other ones. Then the reset, short reset. Man, love this gun. Cardinal Arms G2P, number 4. Okay, number 5. Does anybody out there think they know what this gun is? If so, drop it in the comments. I know it'll take me going back and reading them, but put 5- whatever you think the gun is. Interested to see what these guesses are. So let's leave a little bit of time for you guys to do that before I get into it. So we have the Dark Forge Covert Reaper. We have the Haze Custom Cobra. We have the Covert X RCD Mod 2. And we have the Cardinal Arms G2P. Those are the first four. And the last one, once again, this doesn't have any significance to the order. This is just how it happened. But the last one, what is it? The AAF FX Covert. So this thing from Covert, they do this amazing DLC finish, black multicam DLC. It is so dead sexy. And I'll get to the yellow gold here in a second. That is from Covert, that you get this very cool styling. But if you can get this gun outside of Covert. It just has a front sight, and then it's the AAF Warfighter. So nothing changes except aesthetics and the front sight. I'm the type of guy that loves a front sight delete. I think that looks so good. So this doesn't have a front sight. This doesn't have a front sight. And the Reaper doesn't have a front sight. The Haze and the RCD both have front sights. And I would just knock them out, except then you're left with the dovetail. So what do you do there? I don't know. But I love that they do that. Just delete it. And then let's address the yellow gold. The yellow gold, I think it looks phenomenal. Very good looking gun, just not necessarily my style. So I am going to change all the yellow gold to black eventually. I think this gun with that multicam DLC just asks for black. I think that yellow or rose gold would look phenomenal too, and I've seen pictures of one. But this gun just being such a just mean sumbitch, I'm thinking black all the way. And then you'd say, well, why'd you get the yellow gold? Because I'm impatient, and this is what was available, and I wanted to get one. I also like to, I don't mind taking the time to customize something. So that will be a little down the road once I get through shooting this series. And then maybe early 2026, I'll have this stuff sent out to get anodized and coated black. But let's talk about what this gun is. First off, it is heavy. This is the one gun of all five that has a steel grip. The heaviest guns up to this point are the Reaper and the Haze, tied at 42.1 ounces. And then you get to this with the steel grip, steel magwell, and you're at 50.3 ounces. Heavy. And that 50.3 ounces, that weight translates to sitting so flat when this thing shoots. A little slower on the draw, I'll give you that. But man, does this thing just want to sit there. And it's not just the weight, because then you add in these 14 ports on the barrel, and they're not huge. They're not like 2 Lucky 7s. They're smaller than that, but they work. It is phenomenal. And then get to this trigger, and this is a red dirt trigger. I've never seen one like this, but it looks like a Nighthawk trigger to me, but it has a little bit of take up, super light, crisp break. And then this reset's so short. Like, this gun runs, man. So, this one is gonna be hard to beat. I'll say it right now. This one is gonna be hard to beat. It is a shooter. So, this is the AAF FX Covert, and that is my 5 top 2011s of 2025. So as I mentioned, this is the introduction video. Wanted to get everybody a look at what is going to be on the menu over December, the next few weeks. And these videos will be trickling out until late December, until we get to the final one. But we are going to have a hell of a time doing it. So please stay tuned for that. Once again, the Gundies are going on. I've got messages from a lot of people saying they've been voting, so thank you so much. That's hugely appreciated. And the reason for getting in the Gundies, I want to get the top 5. It'll be a lot of exposure for the channel, and I think it would be good for potential outreach, getting new eyeballs on the channel. I mean, of course we want to win, but at least top 5. That's it. And then if you get in the top 5, you go to the Gundies. I'm going to be in Vegas anyway, going to SHOT Show. That's why they do it then. And so if you would, please go vote. It's for Breakout Creator of the Year. And then there's also guys like 2A in LA for Best Gun Reviewer of the Year. And then we have Micro Influencer of the Year. We have Major Havoc in there. We have Tactical Bearded Dad. We have Razor MP. And then Best Photographer of the Year, we have SOSR Media. Give him a vote. We have Male Influencer of the Year. We have Ryan DeLello. And then Press Bishop for Video Creator of the Year. And that is actually his video guy is my video guy, Blake from Beehive Media. So he needs some recognition. He is doing some amazing work for many people. Shout out to Blake. Stay tuned, guys. This top 5 stuff is about to get started. So please comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I'm Jeff for the Weapon Collective, and I'll catch you next time.